So the Netherlands with the first point and a break. Quick work from them, preventing the Swedes from scoring. Sorry about our slightly disturbed start to this game. We were just trying to find a way to stop everything blowing away as the wind here in Portimao picks up. Myself, Tom Stiles, alongside Hannah Pendlebury for this great Grand Masters final.
Yeah, we've been saying all day, Tom, how the wind just hasn't really been a factor on this first finals day, Friday of this 6-day tournament. Still plenty of action for the rest of the afternoon and tomorrow. But the wind now getting its act together for the great Grand Masters just to show off their throwing prowess. Oh, and that's a nice attempt at a block from the Netherlands.
And the Swedes bang it in for a quick point.
Last time we saw the vintage men in orange take the field was their match against the Courier Island team, which went to Universe Point, Tom. Just showing the strength that Courier Island can bring to the divisions here on the sand in Portimao. But the Netherlands team actually train every week during the summer on sand, so they are very much used to this surface. Hopefully they can use that to their advantage. And they also train, Tom, every month in the winter. And by Jove, does it get quite chilly up in the Netherlands. Not the warmest of places to be on a beach in the likes of November and December.
So Hedstrom for Sweden. Drone Ort, father of Ben Ort and coach of Groot. Exciting grab ahead for Glenn Nolf. Nolf spins it, it lands in the sand.
Yeah, Nolf actually a Belgian by nationality, but a firm part of the Netherlands team. I think Zokli Mesti is the name when they appear on the club scene. And they love the wind, so this is going to play right into their favour as they try and come out on D to get the disc back. Foul call.
First pass out from Urberg. Disc is back in Swedish hands again.
Chatting around the Great Grandmasters division earlier this week, speaking to the Finns, and they said one of the great things about this more vintage division is the fact that all the players know the rules so very well.
Oh, the disc just catches in the wind, rises over Hedstrom and out of bounds. Henson down to Nolf. And into the end zone. Good point for the Netherlands. Koorman with a point to go with his assist from earlier.
So a key difference to point out in the early stages of this Great Grand Masters game is the fact that the Swedes have brought so many people to this tournament. They have, I need to sit and count them all specifically, but they have 4 extra pairs of legs. But great to see Nicolette Verheem, look out for her for the Dutch, the number 52, the only woman gracing this final matchup. Of course, although the word says men's, any person of any gender identification can appear in the men's division. It's not just for men.
The division that used to be known as open, now referred to as men's.
Yeah, not sure how I personally feel about that change of language, but the decision not mine, so we'll roll with it.
On the far side, the Swedes. Nice flow through to the Eriksson, and forward now. Great disc, real expansive play. Disc from Hamstein, and he has it back now. Little static downfield, quick fake from Angergaard, and he gets himself free. Shot into the end zone. Oh, what a touch away. Just in time, Oscar Hollander gets the block.
Oh, and what an appropriate name for a Netherlands player. Oscar Hollander, he was all over the stats board in their earlier stream game. Really vital, key part of the Netherlands side, already picking up 1 score and 1 assist in the very early stages of this final dash towards that gold medal in the Great Grandmasters division.
So 8 divisions here at the European Beach Ultimate Championship. This is the first final we've got for you. 3 more today and then 4 more tomorrow. Hollander sends it up. What a bid, could not quite connect. The far side of the field.
Yeah, Rick David there, not really extending the arms out to try and make the catch as he tumbled to the sand. Perhaps just running out of gas a teeny tiny bit.
Danny Eriksson, downfield, takes a little flick back to him. Down to Angergaard.
As we see a little pause there, shout out to the forward-facing cap and double glove look. Quite highly favoured in the Great Grandmasters division. It's a stylish choice.
Also favoured in Japan. It's a very Japanese look, double golf gloves.
Yep, and the long sleeves.
And the long sleeves as well,
and 3/4 length leggings. There's a nice pop into the end zone. 3/4 length leggings though, Tom. As we now see the sun appear in full force, which is why we've attempted to put up our little bit of shade, which is now faring fairly well, being duct taped to your chair against the wind here on this in our commentary perch. The 3/4 length sort of compression short, you end up with some absolutely hilarious tan lines. Not many pieces of clothing, apart from sort of, you know, the just below the knee skirt, sits at that mark. For men and women alike, most of the shorts that you would wear or the skirts are going to sit above that line, which means that when you're in your, you know, back in the Muggle world, as many Frisbee players will lovingly refer to it, you kind of get some very funny looks.
Frisbee Muggles. None of that on the field here. These are experienced players, both on the field and supporting their communities locally as well. Good read there from Glenn Nolf.
Yeah, and a nice shot from Janssen.
It's really good movement from the Dutch, but the disc eventually glides past Glenn Nolf into the sand.
Yeah, that was weird. It seemed like Nolf just bailed out of that one a little bit. Didn't actually expect the disc to be coming to him. Thought he looked behind the shoulder afterwards and realised that one was for him indeed.
Great Grandmasters division is for over 48s, or 48 and over.
Yeah, some of these players with 40 years plus experience.
Start into the end zone for Sweden, and they break back against the Netherlands. Big point there for the Swedes. It's a crosswind here, so we won't see the upwind, downwind patterns that we saw earlier on in the week.
Well, both teams, it's funny actually, the last live stream game, we also had a crosswind. It's almost giving a different challenge for the Great Grandmasters division. The elements just, you know, the Frisbee gods shining down, plenty of sunshine, a nice little gusty crosswind just to keep things that little bit more interesting. So to tell you a bit more about the Great Grandmasters team coming out of Sweden, the head coach of GP Garschel, they appeared at the World Beach Championships in Lisbon in 2017. They came 6th place out of 6 teams, so basically dead last. Really great to see them coming out here on the sand in the final. They had more success, I think, after the World Club Beach Championships in Sardinia in Italy, and that was they got 5th place there, so clearly they've been building their team for quite some time, and it's all coming together here on the sand in Portimao.
Roosevelt for the Dutch. Nice pass to the middle of the field. Koeman sends it. Chasing down at the big number 8 of Marbus. Catches in the corner and gives the OK sign as the perfect disc glides away from all of the Swedish defence. 3 each here.
Indeed, we're back on serve with the Swedes having gotten a break back after the Netherlands got the first scalp in the first point. But we're now back on serve. Things looking level. Neither team really showing us that they're going to dominate. I think we might just end up with an absolute grueler all the way through trading. And what a final that would be. So to give a shout out, Tom, to a man who needs no introduction, Patrick van der Walker, who's unfortunately, I think, not on the field in this game. He came in, oh no, he might be appearing, look out for him, number 99, came into the tournament carrying a sort of injury to his body. He's not played all of them, he's been absolutely crucial to the tournament organisation. As we've said, so many of these players currently gracing the field, so important to the European ultimate community, giving so much of their time to develop the sport.
Yeah, Patrick carrying an injury into this tournament, and he played a few points in a few games early on in the week, but he's tweaked his hamstring again, so he'll be on the sideline, probably fully dressed in the Dutch gear.
He does look actually suspiciously like he's had a warm-up.
He was jogging about, wasn't he? You might want to rest that hamstring a little longer.
I don't know, maybe an O-line point for if they've got a cushion at the end, we'll see him totter onto the pitch.
Jalvik with the disc for the Swedes now. To find a space. Oh, and there is that space. Ake Andersson brings it in from the knees.
Yeah, such intelligent coverage until the very last moment where the switch didn't quite continue to work. Tasty space found in the centre of the end zone.
The silver hair of Andersson glinting in the Portuguese sunshine as the party in Portimao gets really underway now. The stadium starting to fill. The fans and the neutrals continue to arrive here at the arena field as the rest of the beach starts to empty. Games finishing, players having their final team photographs and celebrating a job well done. They'll be grabbing a beer on the way down and enjoying an afternoon in the sunshine for the party tonight.
Yeah, and we really are at the business end of this tournament. We've seen the first medal awarded to Great Britain, who just snatched it out the hands of the home side of Portugal just but a few minutes ago. And now we have our first contention for a chunk of gold.
Yes, and the Spanish winning in the men's bronze medal match here on the stream as well.
Of course, yes, sorry, the master men's bronze.
No, the men's bronze.
Men's bronze? Oh.
Men's bronze, yeah. The
of course,
Spanish
yes.
beach polo. There's so much ultimate to watch,
There's so
Hannah.
much, but we are very much in the business end, and there is, you know, all these players are...
medals are happening.
Yes, exciting things are happening. Exciting things afoot. Here you can catch all of the action. Will be with you right until the very tail end. Last game today will start at 6:45 local time. And that will be, of course, the Master Mix final, but plenty of action in between now and then. If you want to get in touch with us, if you are tuning in, perhaps if you are maybe related to some of the players on this pitch, maybe some young fans watching at home, you can get me at DiscGal31 on Twitter or Instagram, and you can shout out Tom at Tom Styles on Twitter. Not on Instagram, though. He's far too mature and dignified for the likes of Insta.
No, I am.
Oh, you are?
No, I succumbed.
You are
DJ
Tom Styles.
DJ
I
Tom
stand
Styles.
corrected.
On the Twitter. Sorry, on the
Instagram.
On the Instagram.
Check out from my stream earlier some great dance moves from you, some flossing, Tom, getting down with the kids as we see great grandmasters getting down in the sand in front of us.
Hyland with the disc forward now to Jalvik. Sorry, not Jalvik, that's Stahl. Quick movement from Spanberg and an injury on the sand.
But a layout grab distracts everybody else.
Don't know what's going to happen here, whether the disc is going to come back. The players are returning to the sideline. I think some of the Swedes are just realizing that there was an injury call on the field there. Remco Marbus. And a contested injury. So it's called a foul.
No, you can't contest an injury.
Can't contest an injury. So it's a foul call, which has been contested, but Remco Marbus has been replaced now by Martin Luhr. And the wind is really starting to pick up now.
Yeah, you can start to hear it. We've got giant muffs all over the microphones. Muffles, sorry. They are referred to as muffs in the industry, I can assure you. We hopefully won't see another need to get the pro bag out for our big eye in the sky camera. So we see some instant replays there of the action here on the sand. Sun's really high though, it's pretty much directly above our heads as we are about 2:30 local time. These games, of course, 45 minutes long. Oh, a lovely recatch.
Had to be. From Stahl. Short pass forward. Helen. Back to Stahl again. Cutting up from the line. Swedes at the front corner. Great cut up into space. Was it? It was, yes, Stefan Angergaard with the point for Sweden. And they're going toe-to-toe with the Netherlands at the moment.
Yeah, that's such trust there from Magnus Stahl, coming out of SFC Sweden. He's been playing for 33 years and actually took the World Championship back when I was just a toddling little, and in 1992 won that World Championship with the Open Division Swedish team. Says his sporting hero is Dennis Varson, Kenny Dobbins, and he loves New York, New York, the team. He played against them, and apparently they're a really great bunch of lads. So shout out to New York, New York, going back into the annals of ultimate history there with that team's name shout out. But great to see. There are some fantastic documentaries, Tom. If you're getting excited by this great Grandmasters division, you want to learn a little bit more about the history of the sport, there are a number of Frisbee documentaries that you can check out. I believe most of them are available on YouTube. Some really fantastic fashion choices as well. Our one of the WFDF production chaps, Tim Rockwood, was definitely one of the candidates for some maybe some fashion crimes back in the day. And you and yourself, Tom, have had some good looks.
Always. Luhr then for the Netherlands. Travel called.
So the Netherlands will bring this back in after this call. And I believe I'm going to say goodbye briefly, but I'll stay.
We'll stay to the end of this point. We have Timmy from the Great Britain Grandmasters, who's going to be joining us in just a moment. A big bid there from the Swedish number 12, Magnus Stahl. The number 22 shirt of Jankus Roosevelt.
Yeah, Roosevelt calling the foul there, but then retracts it fairly quickly. That's a tasty bid from the Swedes.
Hedström for Sweden. Swings to the center of the field. Magnus Stahl. Hedström again. Inside disc forward, it's going to be floating in the end zone. Oh, what a bid shows the disc to the crowd with total pride. Stefan Hedström with a highlight reel from the Great Grandmasters final. Superb work from Sweden. They are 4-3 up in this game against the Netherlands.
Well, Tom, I'm going to be replaced, as we say. I'm going to go in and enjoy this one from the sidelines. But I'll be back again soon for later action. Stay with us here.
All good, and joined in the commentary box by Timmy. Timmy, I don't know your second name.
Lawrence, very few people do.
Timmy Lawrence from Great Britain, Great Grandmasters. And Timmy, you played against both these teams this week on the beach.
Yep, and we gave them a good run around. They're not infallible. Neither of the teams are infallible, as you can see with the game against Courier Island. The Netherlands had a hard time against Courier Island. All of them have their faults, and all of them have their failures to complete.
I'll hear a little bit more from Timmy as we go on through this game. It's Hollander. Gets a disc across to Koeman. Back to Hollander again now on the far side. Once more with Koeman. Back to Nolf now. Nolf goes to the ground. Real energy in this Great Grandmasters final. All the players on the field. 48 are over, and that disc just dies in the wind from Koeman.
There's a real problem with the wind that whips around the side of the media container that we're on the top of. There's a bit of a shelter in the lee of this container in the middle of the field, and in the end zone to our left. The wind really whips in and brings it around, and you can really get a dump on the disc.
Yeah, the wind has been racing up and down the Portimao seafront here all week, Timmy. Have all the teams coped with it? I imagine the Great Grandmasters are actually better set up with throws to deal with the wind than any other division.
I've been intrigued by your comments about the Great Grandmasters and the pros and cons of being this old and playing disc all week, Tom. I think, interestingly, against the Swedish, most of the points that were scored were upwind. We had great difficulty putting it in, and the Swedes as well, gauging the pace of the disc and gauging the speed of the runners on the sand against a downwind point.
Jalvik knocking on the door for the Swedes. Defense slagging a little bit, and the disc is just popped into that front corner. You see tired bodies from the Netherlands having chased and chased. And that's a break for the Swedes as they go 5-3 up in this gold medal match. The first of our gold medal matches here from the beach of Praia da Rocha in Portimao as the action from the Algarve continues all day. Tom Stiles and Timmy Lawrence with you for this first of the finals.
It was very interesting there that the wind, there was a slight dip in the wind just as they popped it into the end zone, and that made that pass a lot easier.
Sorry, my apologies. My scoring is totally off. It's 7-3. Don't know quite why got the scores quite so far off.
The Netherlands are putting a strong team on here. They have extraordinarily tall player in Martin, from whom we have a new post-point celebration, the Martin clap, as an introduced after our GB tournament, after our GB match. Martin was flapping his hands, indicating over Danny Baker that he thought that he had the disc between his fingers, and was clapping his hands horizontally outstretched, and we all thought he was applauding Danny Baker, who was on the ground celebrating the point. So to a man, we now have the Martin clap. Everyone on his team thought he was applauding, everyone on our team thought he was applauding, and Martin was the only one that was unaware of his situation. So with the arms outstretched, flapping our hands like a duck, this is the Martin clap.
We're having a little bit of difficulty with the Wi-Fi up in here, which is affecting our scoreboard. And, We'll try and get that fixed for you as soon as possible. The score
Martin
is
struggling there. He's getting almost completely blocked out. It's such a tight game. And JP on the disc there, forcing that error. The wind really just whipped up.
It really has.
2 or 3 seconds before that disc was released. And JP Garchol nursing his Achilles tendons injuries, which he probably hasn't put on his biog.
Across to Carl-Johan Follin. Down the line, 3 or 4 goes at catching that one, but eventually arrives safely in Swedish hands. Swing across to Hedström.
That's going to be a difficult pass.
Caught in the wind and down to the sand.
He opened that edge up on the disc. He gave the edge to the wind, and the wind is going to be punishing that.
David into the end zone. Great from Jankes Rudsveld. Recovering here for the Netherlands. They need to get back into this game. 4-7, they trail the Swedes at the moment.
David giving me some stories during the tournament about how he enjoyed his time playing with horizontal hombres way back in the day.
So Timmy, you played for Grandmasters in Italy, is that right?
I played in Masters in 2004 on the beach. I played in the first tournament, and I've been playing Beach Ultimate since 1979.
Legend. 1979, I was 2 years old. Blimey. But
I started on the beach, and I'm finishing on the beach.
And your family are with you here this week as well, aren't they?
They were here until Wednesday, and it's a fantastic environment for the children to experience some great role models across many nations. Fabulous spirit. Oh, we have.
And a call on the play there, Timmy.
I think he feels that the disc was touched. Although he hasn't done the hand signal. I think he feels that the disc was touched, or his hand was touched as he threw. So I think he's calling a foul. But that kind of plays into your hands, Tom, where the old dogs can't be taught new tricks. They're not using the hand signals in this game.
Well, yes, it's one of the things that's come into the game in the last sort of 5 years. Very quick movement from Niklas Jabek.
Oh, that's going to be difficult to catch, but it was well held, very good patience, waiting for that to come down.
Herberg.
He's looking for that line pass.
Continuation. And a fast advancing disc downfield to Engli. And it's with Marbus now, trying to find something on the line. Nothing available at the moment. And into the end zone, eventually landing. And is that the big figure of Michael Mulder, bringing this game back to 5-7.
Here we have Glenn Nolf coming back on. Very tall figure. They're clearly looking for some elevation off this point. They have an extra. Oh no, Nolf's been called off. David's back on. It smells a little bit like a zone. I think they're setting up. I think they want to cut down the Swedes on their line. This should be quite a good pull. Quite a big pull, plenty of air underneath it. And watch out for those orange shirts sprinting down under the disc.
So 7-5. 7-5 to the Swedes. We've got our connectivity issues all sorted out. Scoreboard on our screen is correct again. Swedes running around, big Dutch pressure. Can they pull it out and take down the first gold medal of the championships? Angergaard. Got Stahl available on the swing side if he needs. Got really expansive play across the heads and in the hands of Danny Eriksson, quickly finding Hedström. Hedström looking for a reset. There's nothing available at the moment, but good running from Stahl again. Floaty backhand down the wind. Eriksson collects. Angergaard again. It's really good, steady, patient offense in the red zone for Sweden, but can they find anything for the actual score? Running it down. What a nice little flick. Ake Andersson with his second point of the game.
Yeah, Andersson has it's a favourite play of his, just to be on the closed side of the play and then just meander almost across the face of the zone. And he's there ready for that pop in. And it's a very difficult disc.
It really is. Downwind, flicking to the break side and getting it to hover. Not quite, players in this division not quite got that same burst of speed, but look at the float on that, the touch. Beautiful disc. You don't need fast cutters if you've got brilliant throwers, do you, Timmy?
It is a big feature of our division that we have a surfeit of handlers. We're not short of handlers. What we're short of are people that are changing their position from one place to another in the pitch, and that's
on the disc flying into the stands. The crowd delighted to get involved in this game. No volunteers scurrying underneath to fetch that one. Jeroen Oort.
Paul de Ritter throwing on the spare disc. Paul and I have a lot of history playing Harbour Ultimate, and the last time I saw him was just over 20 years ago when I played on his team at his tournament, which was delightful.
Oort. To Nolf. Spreads the play back now to Henson. Forward once more to Hollander. Back to Nolf. Hollander's disc is a little bit too far in front of Marbus, and it's a turnover. Swedes with another opportunity, keep their foot on the gas. So these two teams, when you played them this week on the beach, what was the score lines against the Great Britain Great Grandmasters?
Difficult to remember some of these games, they all sort of merge, but the Swedish game was particularly tight. I think we went to not quite a universe point. I think they had 2 points on us. And the Netherlands, we gave them a very good run for the first half. Lost our way just around the half and then brought it back towards the end, but they closed us out. But incredibly close games in our division.
Oh, contact call as that big block comes through. A chance to see the replay here. Henson with the bid for the Dutch. And Helen calling the foul. Lots of conversations down here on the field about how to defend this Swedish offense. Big reaching grab, keeping the disc alive for the Swedes. Floats it forward. Big run, but they're not going to take the option. Keeping steady. Another sprint up the line. Again, going to ground with the bandana on the head. Marbus and sends it across the end zone. Great play. And eventually landing in the hands of Corman. Sorry, not Corman. It's, I'm reading the wrong roster, Timmy.
Gottschall. Good.
No, it's 33. Arvidsson. Well, that's 9-5 to the Swedes. And coming up on 40 minutes of play. It's a game to 13, and a time cap will be put on at 45 minutes. So time cap is when we finish the point after 45 minutes, and then 1 is added to the top score, and that then becomes the target. But it in any case, the first to 13 will always win.
This is the first tournament in our division that the Netherlands have put out a squad. This is the first time we've seen the Netherlands on the beach in the Great Grandmasters division, and they didn't make much of a show in the Grandmasters division either. The Swedes have always put out a very strong showing, and we've been playing with them, against them, since 2004 in the Masters division in Figueira da Foz.
Well, they're undefeated so far this week, the Netherlands team, and they certainly won't want the first time they're defeated to be in the gold medal matchup. There's contact further downfield. They train on the beach every week in the summer in preparation for this tournament. They've brought a really strong squad, rotating through all of their line on O and D. Nice floaty pass away from danger. Roosevelt moves the disc forward now. Lure. Back to De Ruiter. Koeman. Spreading the play well here. The Dutch. Roosevelt's got it again. No one in the end zone threatening a score here. Contact between Lure and his Swedish defender is called quickly. Roosevelt. Eventually gets that quick jab. We've seen the end zone deserted at the moment. The Dutch within 50 meters, and 2 Dutch players both assume the other one's going to get it, and a deep shot straight away. The fast run down just lands outside of the end zone. Thornvant is nearly in, and he pops it forward, and it's taken out of the sky by Stefan Hedström. The Swedes capitalise on Dutch miscommunication. It's 10-5. The Netherlands with a mountain to climb as we get closer and closer to that time cap, Timmy.
That's such a shame to have a mistake like that at this level. The communication between the Dutch team has been exemplary all week. They're the team that practiced together the most out of everyone in this division, and their communication has normally been beyond compare, and it's just such a shame. And I think the pressure's beginning to show on them. They've been playing 1 or 2 points within the teams, either most of the time ahead or no more than 1 or 2 points behind. And I think they're now calling a timeout, the Swedish timeout, I think.
Yeah, it's a pressure rising here on the Dutch. They've not, I think it's one of those difficult things when you find teams who've really been able to cruise through the week. So cruise through the week's a bit strong, but they've been successful all week. Suddenly they find themselves deep in a hole. You see Patrick van der Valk, head of BULA, one of the key people organising this tournament, wearing the Dutch strip. He's not playing with the Dutch here at the moment because of it carrying an injury, which I think he picked up during the week.
He picked up in the warm-up in his game. In the warm-up for the semi-final, so he's been playing well all week, and then during the warm-up he pulled an old hamstring injury, which has put him out of play. But Patrick, instrumental in the growth and the birth, in fact, of Beach Ultimate and the global tournaments, setting up with the Beach Ultimate Lovers Association, the BULA, setting up the first World Championships in 2004. And again, showed great support for the creation of this division. 2 years ago when we wanted to get great grandmasters at Royan at the World Beach Championships, and there just wasn't enough pitch space. The sport has grown in such popularity. They were catering for maybe 95 to 100 teams, and at Royan they had applications from nearly 220 teams internationally that wanted to play. And the great grandmasters set up their separate division at the World Championships in Portugal 2 years ago.
Well, the wind is blustery and hard, and we're going to have to make things safe up here in our commentary position as we just bring down the parasol before it brings us down and takes most of our equipment off the top of our desk with it. So let's just see if we can make that a bit safer. Don't think it's going to quite blow away, turning into a bit of a kite up here, sheltering us from the sun, but don't want to be doing anything too dangerous. Tom Stiles and Timmy Lawrence with you for the Great Grandmasters final. Intelligent little poach-off bid there by Angergaard, but the Dutch still have it. That disc rises into the sky. There's going to be Swedish hands all over it. They turn quickly and advance. Moving the disc now through Helen, and a floaty disc is caught by fingertips of David.
Big call for calm now among the Dutch team. Big call for calm. Waiting.
Don't know quite what the conversation was there between Reggie Henson and his Swedish counterpart, Stefan Angergaard. Henson spins the disc across the field, could not quite contain it. Oscar Hallander, frustration as the disc dies in the sand ahead of the big Dutchman. Angergaard with the cap on, looking to start the play for the Swedes. Going to the ground is Helen. Contact made by and it's an offensive contact foul that's been called. Helen offering the disc. Into the end zone, big bid from the Dutch, but nothing they could do, and a huge spike and a goal for the Swedes as they move out to 11-5, and I think the cap is going to go on there, so this is going to be game to 12. Netherlands with an absolute mountain to climb, Timmy.
It's something they're going to have to dig deep. They're going to have to think about themselves and think about enjoying their game. I think at the moment they're focusing too much on trying to score the points. There's too much focus on that. They need to focus on their game and their passing, because the point only comes if they keep possession. At the moment, the wind has really, really whipped up here, and they were caught unawares as they tried that pop downfield, and it just got dumped to the ground. They really need to focus on the basics, the core basics of just keeping possession of the disc. The Swedes are not beyond turnovers. The Swedes will, with some pressure, start making their own mistakes. So they just need to stay in the game here in the Netherlands.
Big pull from Urberg down the field. And if there is a slight side to this wind, it's coming from the Dutch end. It's mainly a straight crosswind coming from the camera. Going to be a bid here to try and keep the disc alive, but Roosevelt saw the disc go past him. Nothing Ort could do as the disc went into the turf. Disc movement to Hedstrom. Violation call here is going to come back into Swedish hands, travel call. Urberg has it now. Swedes with a chance. They have possession. Gold in their sights under these beautiful blue skies. Light wispy clouds blowing across the Algarve sky. This is too long a call for a travel in the middle of the field. Nolf sets up the defensive big arms, wingspan spread. Thorvand down the line, spreads the play. Big layout bid, but it's in Dutch hands. Oort picking up quickly, gets it back to Roosevelt, spreads the play to Oort, who dives like a salmon. And straight away, Roosevelt calling a foul.
One of the big things that we've been focusing on with Spirit of the Game, I've been Spirit Captain for GB here this tournament. One of the big things we've been focusing on is communication, but the other is body contact. At this age, any injury that you pick up is just going to take a lot longer to heal.
Trying to avoid that now. The big disc. What a layout that is from Danny Eriksson. Made absolutely sure. No chance for the Dutch to keep that disc alive. Threw himself at that disc. Incredible work from Eriksson. And a turnover back to the Dutch. Can they jam it in now? Front corner. Glenn Nolf is there. But really impressive stuff from the 55-year-old Danny Eriksson. Is the artistic director from Stockholm. Incredible action here on the great Grandmasters division gold medal matchup, the European Beach Ultimate Championships.
The one thing that I've noticed about this division is that the discs can sometimes travel a little more slowly than it does in other divisions, but the passion and the grit and the will to win is still there. It's not diminished at all, and the ability for everyone to read each other. Most of the people who've been playing this division, they've been playing each other for at least 20 or 30 years in various European and World Championships. They know each other's plays very well, they know the limitations, and they know what they're capable of. And to throw a disc like that with Eriksson so close behind, it was always going to end one way.
Well, Netherlands coming out on D with absolutely nothing to lose. They've got to throw everything at the Swedes. They have the disc, and the Swedes have got a chance to take the gold medal, the first gold medal from this European Beach Ultimate Championships. 22 shirt of Jalvik. Forward to Hamstein. Drops it up, Stahl. Oh, and just tips off the fingers of Stefan Angergaard. The Dutch have it back. And a signal from Roosevelt on the sideline that they ought to call a timeout here and have a think about it. Tired Dutch legs running around on the sand here, Timmy.
Martin is showing no signs of that tiredness here, Tom. He's just sprinting around. He's covering all that ground. He'll make a big bid for the end zone in just a moment. Here they go. David struggling on his feet. He's calling for the disc midfield. Going in for the backup from Martin. Martin takes the disc. He's going to swing it around.
It's Martin Lure.
Then down to David. Surely, yes, there we go. And in for the score. There it is. There it is.
Oh, great action here from the Dutch, recovering at least 1 point of their deficit against Sweden. They do not want to let this gold medal go. And real great play across the field, exposing the space for the Swedes. The Dutch have not had a good game so far. Trailed heavily. I think it was 7-3 at one point in the game. Now they are back within 4 points. 11-7, Timmy.
There's been a questionnaire that's been handed out to all of the players. That's the president of the Portugal Flying Disc Federation, Jose, is doing his PhD in sports psychology, and he's doing it in particular in the attitude of ultimate players and their desire to win and their view of themselves against each other. And there have been some very, very interesting results coming back in. And just thinking about the way that these Dutch guys will answer that questionnaire, their desire to win is intense. They will be throwing absolutely everything. There's nothing to be left on the field at the end of this game.
Footprints in the sand will be all that remains at the end of this great Grandmasters division. But we've got 3 more finals for you coming up. The Grandmasters, the Master Women's final, and also the Master Mix final coming up on the live stream today. Do stay with us. But here, in what potentially could be the final point of the game, but no, a mistake from the Swedes. An overthrow from Fredrik Hellström. The disc into the sand, steadying the ship now. Oscar Hollander picks up for the Dutch. He's got to be infield. He settles his foot on the other side of the tape and resumes his pivoting. Back up the line to Roosevelt into the end zone, over the heads, and we've got a game here. Marcus Engelen catches at the back of the end zone. The Dutch recovering. Can they make it all the way back? They still trail by 3, but they're fighting hard here, Timmy.
These 3 points in a row will lift their spirits no end, and that's the kind of consolidation that the Dutch need. The spirit is there. They will be pushing hard for this, and as I say, the Swedish are not infallible. The Swedish will suffer from that lack of momentum much more than perhaps some of the other teams will, and it really gets them down. And the crowd are clearly calling for the Swedish team, they're calling for the Dutch team to put all of their effort on, with nothing to be left.
Netherlands. You see the great Grandmasters players wandering down that far line. It's Paul de Rutte sort of amping up the crowd. Well, they don't need much amping up. The future of Dutch Ultimate, cheering on the legacy of Dutch Ultimate as they try to fight their way back into this game. But the Swedes still have a huge lead, and if they can hold this offensive point, great cut across the field from Niklas Jalvik. Coming underneath is Angergaard. He takes the reset, and a complaint from Roosevelt about the body contact as the pivot was going out. Uncontested, so it's an offensive foul, so it'll come back in on 4, which is when the throw was made. Angergaard, oh, the fingertip touch, you can see the frustration. And the Dutch with another chance here, the wind rising. Can they find a way through? Oh, they can, and into the end zone. It's another point. And they're all amping up the crowd now. The neutrals are on their feet. The Dutch are on their feet. They're back within 2. It's 11-9. What a game we've got here in this great Grandmasters division final, Timmy.
It's absolutely electric. The French team are over there on their feet. The French great Grandmasters team. The Netherlands and Patrick van der Velde really whipping them up into a frenzy. It's one of the big things that is really important to this game, and at every level, is the sideline and instruction and help from the sideline, letting the players on the pitch know, an extra set of eyes. One player on the sideline will pick out and assist any particular player on the field and run up and down with them and help and advise them on what's happening with the game behind their eyes and where to look at. It's greatly appreciated, all this sideline support. It really, really helps. And the Dutch on the ascendancy. The Swedish are going to have to pull something special out of here. They're going to have to dig deep if they want to score this point. You can see them resting on their hands. Their heads are slightly bowed, the Swedish. They're going to have to work very hard with that confidence.
It is a game of momentum, and the Dutch have it all. The Swedes went on a 4-point run of 4 breaks in a row to take the game to 11-5. Dutch scored 1 point to bring it to 11-6. So that's when the cap went on. This is a game to 12, and if the Swedes can jam it in here, they're running it down. Are they going to take the gold medal? Oh, they are! The Swedes have done it. They've withstood the Dutch onslaught, and the Netherlands are going to have fought hard to get themselves back into this game, but they just had too much to do, and it's a big pile of blue shirts in the end zone away as Stefan Angergaard takes down that final pass into the end zone. They steadied the ship eventually, Timmy. Real exciting action. The first gold medal of the European Beach Ultimate Championships goes the way of Sweden.
It was such a tough game. The Swedes were a very tight-knit team, GB had the good fortune to go and practice with them 5 weeks ago and a weekend in Malaga. We had a weekend training trip down there, and they taught us a thing or two on the first match. We learned, and we came back and gave them a much better game. But the Dutch team congratulating each other, the Swedish team showing their great appreciation to the crowd, to the support they're getting here, and the Dutch team genuinely and rightly pleased with their performance in that final. They really dug in, they showed great spirit, and in the end the Swedish nerves were overcome by a little bit of, by a ping and a little bit of good luck. That we've seen discs like that going into the end zone being punished by the wind so much in this game.
You saw the
please put your hands together for our two final teams, the Netherlands and the winners, Sweden.